Okay, so if you read in the handout too far, it's going to give away all of my secrets and all my surprises. But let's get started. So yesterday, Willem talked about heat sensation and about heat regulation. And today, we're going to be talking about a different type of sensation. But before I start, do you guys remember our names? Do you guys care about our names? Okay. What's my name? Evan. Yep. Willem. And then we've got Elena over here, and then behind us we got Slav. Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah, we're really excited to have you guys back here. So
what's the plan today?
So today we're going to be talking about something that all these animals have in common. Do people recognize some of these animals? Let's shout them out. So, yeah, we got platypus down there. We got naked mole rat. Yeah, star-nosed mole. Look at that one. Awesome. And then we just have, nobody said duck. Do people not know what a duck is? Okay. Oh, it's that thing. Okay, so what do these animals have in common? I put them up here for a reason. Sorry? Yeah, so they have a sensitive nose. Other things that...
Like the sense of touch.
Yeah, so they're extremely sensitive to touch, and their noses do come into that. So up here, you guys said correctly that this is a star-nosed mole. It has this nose organ that is extremely sensitive to touch, and it relies on this sense of touch to move around and to find its prey. This is the naked mole rat. It has these hairs on the side of its body that are extremely sensitive to touch. Their sense of vision is also really bad. So like, it's these hairs that really help them to get around and to find their prey. The platypus has an extremely sensitive bill, so it's both touch sensitive and it's electrically sensitive. And then the duck, you guys might not know it, but the duck also relies on a sense of touch in its bill to find its prey. So when you think of a chicken finding food, what's the characteristic kind of thing that you think? I see somebody moving their head, yeah, they're pecking, they're kind of moving their head around and then peck, move their head around, peck. Well, what ducks do is they do a thing called dabbling. And so this is the kind of thing that they do, where they're just moving their bill around, sifting they're getting everything in their mouth. They're getting mud, they're getting water in their mouth, but they're also getting some vegetation in there. And they're getting the vegetation from that soil and they're eating it. And they're able to do this because they have an extremely sensitive bill that's able to sift out or to get out that vegetation. So it's always fun to talk about extreme animals when we're talking about a sense. So now let's move into humans. What do you guys, I just want to hear, let's brainstorm about touch a little bit. Before we brainstorm about touch, does anybody know the largest organ in the body?
Skin.
Yeah, you guys,
That's
too easy for you guys.
Incredible,
Yeah.
Like that would be the hardest
like,
question for you.
lungs, yeah. Okay, so let's, so what's special about the skin? It's huge, that's
It's an external organ.
Yeah, it's an external organ, and I mean, the thing that we think is particularly cool about the skin is that it's responsible for the sense of touch that we have, and sensing touch in the periphery. So, let's see, so when you think of touch, what different types of sensation can you think of? Like, do you just think of touch in like a kind of umbrella, or are there different types of touch that you can kind of think of? Yeah, pain. Yeah, that's a good one. Any other ones? Sorry? Tickling. Yeah, tickling's a great one. I just saw one there. Yeah, pinching. Pinching's great. Any other ones?
Stretching.
Yeah, stretching. Just like kind of going like this.
Soft.
Soft. Yeah, so there are a lot of different types of touch. And I was trying to kind of represent these up here too. We got like a pinch, we got a cactus, like a sharp poke. I was trying to find something that, like, to identify textures. And the closest thing I could think is like a cat licking you, like it kind of feels, you feel that weird texture on you. And then simple touch.
Rubbing.
So the way that this works, Willem had this slide up here yesterday where we sense temperature in the periphery, and there are neurons that detect this temperature and turn it into an electrical signal that goes to the spine and then eventually goes to the brain. Well, touch works pretty much the same way. So there are cells in the skin that pick up different types of touch and relay that information to the spine and then to the brain. And as you guys identified, there are a bunch of different types of touch, and there are different cells in the skin that are responsible for detecting this type of touch. So this is kind of a busy slide. It's from a journal called Nature that summarizes some of the different types of touch. So tickling, somebody mentioned tickling. You could detect that with light brush, maybe your hair, or like a cool breeze. Someone was talking about stretching. So stretching, you've got these Ruffini corpuscles that help you to detect stretching. Somebody mentioned pain. So for pain, you've got these types of nociceptors. That's just a fancy way of saying pain receptors that detect pain. So there's some other ones like vibration and deformation, and there are these different cells for detecting these different types of touch. Now, the sense of touch isn't equal in all parts of the body, and that really depends on the area that a specific neuron, in which a specific neuron detects different types of stimuli. And that area is called a receptive field. In different parts of the skin, you get different densities of receptive fields, and different types of cells also have different sizes of receptive fields. So if you have a lower density of neurons, of these receptive fields, would you think that you'd be able to discriminate touch better or worse? If you have a lower density. Worse, right? So if you have fewer of these guys, if these are like larger and you have fewer of them, then if you have an identical let's see, here, we're just going to go here. So in this case, if you have two stimuli on opposite ends of this, like the back of your hand, then you'll be able to sense it as two different touches. But if they get too close and they're picked up by the same receptive field, then they're only sensed as one point. And so you can imagine that if you make these receptive fields bigger and you make them overlap less, so you make it less dense, then you're going to be able to discriminate worse. And the opposite is true too. So if you're receptive, what's going to help you discriminate better? As far as, how about receptive field size? Smaller receptive field size is going to help you sense things better. And how about as far as density of your receptive fields? Higher density. So we're going to have a little demo a little bit. Later today, we're going to be exploring that touch discrimination. So as I mentioned earlier, all these different cells that I was talking about that sense different types of touch have different sizes of receptive fields. So you might have, for instance, the simple touch has a small receptive field, which helps you to discriminate, whereas with something like stretch, it's a larger, or let's see, stretch, it's a larger receptive field because there's not as much of a need to discriminate. So we can just recall that, remember we've got these stimuli and the neurons are detecting it, electrical signal to the spine, and that goes up to the brain. And when it projects up to the brain in a specific part called the somatosensory cortex, and I've got that in an illustration here. When you have different parts of the body have more sensory neurons than others, and they're represented in this cross-section of the somatosensory cortex. So what do you see here that's especially big? So, like what kinds of body parts?
Hands a lot.
Hand. So we have a lot of sensory neurons. We're getting a lot of information from the hand. Anybody just want to say why you think that's a good idea? Why you think that we might be getting a lot of sensory information from the hand?
Like every day.
Yeah, we use our hands every day to explore our surroundings, interacting with tools and stuff like that. So it's important that our hands are very sensitive. What are the other parts that kind of shoot out to you?
Eyes.
Yeah, the eyes. Why do you think that it might be important for the eyes to be sensitive?
You need to see.
So this is for touch sensitivity though. Yeah? Yeah, it's an important part of your body. You want to know if stuff is touching it. Yeah, definitely. Yes?
What is a trunk? I thought only
But
Oh, so the trunk is just like this part of your body. Yeah, feel free to interrupt me with questions too. That's awesome. How about other parts? So we've got hand and we've got eye.
your mouth.
Mouth, yeah, so why do you think we want our mouths to be sensitive?
so you can see people chase, touch the.
Yeah, I mean, we're eating with it, right?
In your mouth, you need to like, spit it out.
Right, right. So it's important if there's something bad that's in your mouth, you don't want it to go down inside your body. Okay, so an easy way to kind of visualize which parts of the body we get the most sensory information from, there's this thing called the homunculus. So here we can kind of see that, yeah, it's kind of ugly, isn't it? So we can see like these huge hands that receive a lot of input, this huge tongue and lips and eyes. The feet are kind of big too. There are, the genitals. We get a lot of sensory information from them too. Yeah, so it's a good way of visualizing the most sensitive areas of our body. And there are people who have also illustrated homunculi for animals like naked mole rats and star-nosed moles. So what parts of the body do you think would be the largest for those animals? So the skin, yeah, those hairs for the naked mole rat. How about for star-nosed mole? Yeah, that nose. So here we got that huge nose on the star-nosed mole, and it's hard to see in the projector, but there are really huge hairs coming out of that naked mole rat. And surprisingly, those incisors, those front teeth, are really important for the naked mole rat getting around. So